What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for tuning in once again. Leicester have just lost at home once again to Everton 2-0. Alex, what are your thoughts?
I'm frustrated with this one. Because when the starting lineup was announced, for me, I was like, "Wow, this looks great." I was pretty excited, and when the game started, I was quite happy with how they're playing. And as soon as Richarlison got the goal, it just seemed to go downhill. Schmeichel, I've been loving him the entire season. He's been fantastic, and I hate to be critical, but you got to make that save. And it just seemed like everything kind of just slowly started to crash and burn after that. So overall, I'm disappointed, and I think the outcome could have been way, way better than what we were actually seeing now.
Yeah, I agree, but the thing is, the way that we lost, I'm not too disappointed. I mean, you look at the example of Liverpool, Fulham, we lost even West Ham, where we just weren't in the game. We were nowhere near good enough. In this game, we did have a few opportunities, and we did build into them, but the better team won at the end of the day. It wasn't before. It was the other team weren't that we were just terrible. But in this game, we were actually decent, I think, for a long period of time. As you were mentioning, the Schmeichel thing was just, it was going to happen. If Schmeichel dropped the ball. And again, let's not forget, he made it unbelievable. We'll get on to the second goal in a second, but he did make some great saves as well. And he has been keeping us in games for a lot of the time. In this, he made a mistake. I think we just kind of move on from that.
Yeah, and you know what? I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed is that a lot of people can be very critical really quickly. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, he should have had it. Oh, he's useless. He's getting old. Forget about him." But as we're going to get to the second goal, he makes incredible saves and he keeps us in the game on numerous times. And for me personally, I think that, especially in the Premier League, he isn't mentioned as much as he should be because he saved our skin numerous times. And I think there's the reason why we're in this position as to where we are in the league is, Schmeichel is one of those key components to that.
I think you're right. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Evans was out as well when we looked at the starting lineup. He had 5 yellow cards, so he couldn't play for the game. Indeed, he stepped in, and I know we conceded 2 goals, but I thought, bearing in mind that was I think his first full 90 minutes, he played really well in that centre back position. Bearing in mind, you're up against some of the Premier League's brightest attacking players.
Yeah, and I think you got to give him credit as well because, as you said, he's coming back from injury. So, with Evans being suspended because of his 5 yellow cards, what he was able to do, I'm quite happy with it. And I think, once you start adding all the, this player was injured, this player is injured, indeed he's playing in a position that he's normally not playing in, you start looking at all that and you go, okay, considering everything that we have had to, figure out because of all these injuries and all the, the suspensions and whatnot, we played relatively well. Luck wasn't on our side this time.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we did have a bit of luck with Allen going off, even though it didn't change too much of the game. I think they had their main right back and left back, like us, 2 flying fullbacks in Coleman and Digne weren't playing as well. But you just got to give it to Everton, say credit to you guys, to Everton fans if you're watching, because you were the better team, and we will 100% admit that. But I think the difference between where sometimes we think we are and where Everton are a different level. So you compare a player like Richarlison to a player like Barnes. Both are fantastic. And you saw at times Barnes was really getting through. But you got to remember that Ancelotti has been in the game for years and years. He's been with the top He's been the top manager of certain clubs for ages. And that, for me, separates literally the best managers in the world and people like Brendan Rodgers, which are close, but not quite there yet. Because if Brendan Rodgers wants to consider him the best manager one of the best managers in the world, he has to be beating teams like Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, we beat Pep Guardiola, but people like a Man City, an Everton team is another team got to put away. But I think we just have to give Everton credit because defensively they were superb.
Absolutely, they shut us down. Any opportunity that we had, they were able to completely shut us down and use a counterattack. So the end of the day, yeah, it's frustrating, but Everton was the better team. And
Yeah.
that's the only way to really say it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's the thing, and they are going to push for them top positions, and I wish them all the best because the top six are always talked about, and Everton have always been just about there or investigate. This is the year. This is the year where they put the money in, and that kind of money and that kind of skill. Like they spent 40 million on Iwobi, they spent 20 million on James Rodriguez. These kind of players are very, very good players, and like I think Bernard was one of their players that they had. He was going to come to Leicester. However, we couldn't afford the wages. So Everton could. They got him. And that's the kind of level that we're not at. And they're getting there. And do you know what? Credit to them that they've got players like that. Because at the end of the day, Leicester, I think in the first half, we didn't play too well. It was just, there's a few chances in it, but I think the difference was the clinicalness of both teams. They got 2 goals, we got 0 because we didn't finish our chances.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I saw was there was that hunger. Everton seemed to not they had that hunger for the whole 90 minutes. You know, when they had the opportunity, they took it. They finished that opportunity, you know, and they ended up converting twice. Meanwhile, Leicester, you know, they had the opportunity, but when it was their time to convert to, you know, score, they couldn't find it. And I think that also really separated it. There was that hunger, that drive to complete, you know, that play in order to score.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And again, I think it changed with somebody like Under coming off, because initially I was thinking that wasn't the great decision. I was thinking what happened, but Jose Perez came on, and for me, he played absolutely brilliantly. It's probably the best performance I've seen him play, apart from the Southampton game where he scored a hat trick, because again, he's not been around the team as much. He's not really been in the starting 11. At times, he's not even been on the bench. But he's worked hard and he's splitting them lines. He was taking them passes and actually weaving through quite a few players. And I was really impressed with his performance tonight.
Yeah, and I would have to agree with you. I will be the first to admit that I've been very critical of Perez. I would say over the past year, you know, when he does come on, he doesn't seem like he's had it. And, you know, and the opportunities that Rodgers does give him when he is given that opportunity, he never really capitalizes on that. And over the last few games, he really has capitalized over them. And especially with the fact that, you know, normally he's not played in the position that he's used to. You know, he's usually playing on the wing where, you know, he's much more comfortable playing, center in the center field position, center forward position, my bad. So I was happy with it, with his play. You know, when he had the opportunity and he ended up getting tripped, or, you know, I still think he dove in that situation. You know, it was a little upsetting, but, you know, I think he shows the hunger that he wants to play, that he wants to improve. And that's what you need, because at the end of the day, you know, the guys that are going to be more hungry and, you know, want to play are going to be the ones that are going to get more time on the pitch.
Yeah, totally agree. I think that he will get his opportunity, and now we're playing twice a week, youth Premier League games. He will get that, and coming into this game, it would have been very easy for him to go, "Well, I had a good performance against Brighton." Again, I think his performance was underrated, because you're going to look at Maddison's always going to get the headlines, but he made a lot of them passes to Justin and played in that third. I think he did a really good job there. And to be benched for this one and replaced by Cengiz Under, I think he probably would. He had every right to be down and go, "Oh, I deserve to be in the team," but he didn't. He kept his head. He kept his head strong. Under came off. He came on, and he actually made a really big difference in the game. One other player that didn't quite have the impact, but it was a similar tactic, was James Justin. I think he had such an unbelievable game against Brighton, but I think in this game it was just that final pass that he was lacking. But some of the runs, some of the pace he was to get past players, I thought was really impressive today as well.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of James Justin. I think he is very underrated, especially from, you know, he came in from a position where he was playing, I believe it was League One football.
Yeah.
It was League One.
Third division, yeah.
And you know, he comes into a squad that is, you know, top of the Premier League. You know, when Ricardo comes in, you know, Rodgers looks at him and says, "You're in. But by the way, you know, we might play you at, you know, left back, right back. You know, we might even throw you in at center back." And he's been all over the place, and he's capitalized off that. And I've got to say, I think he's one of the most improved players over the past year.
Yeah.
And, you know, he does have things that he needs to work on. And, yeah, you know, maybe that final pass. But, you know, it comes and goes. There's times where he can just to absolutely amazing. And, there's other times that, he just fails to capitalize on that position. I think that will come. Um, but today, yeah, there's a couple times where he, missed out on that final pass. But overall, I can't be a hater of James Justin at all. I
No.
think he's just incredible. And I think, moving forward, he'll be, great. Especially, if, the question does come off, what's going to happen? You got someone like James Justin who's been playing incredible all year. When you get Ricardo back, when you get Castagna back, questions are going to, these are good questions to have. So I'm excited to see moving forward.
Yeah, and considering he's played every single game and he's not been given a break and he's not been given an easy role either, playing wing back or full back or back three in like the Leeds game where they're just coming at you every single time. We saw today with, I think Newcastle lost 5-2 when they conceded 5 goals in three goals in the last 20, 30 minutes. And what it was just they tired out. They couldn't handle Leeds coming at them and smashing them again and again and again. And the fact that we managed to and put 4 past them, again, people like Fofana, who I think, again, had a pretty okay game. But the difference between, I think that's the difference between paying the people proper wages and also the way that we buy players compared to them. So you look at something like a Michael Keane, who they bought from Burnley for 40 million and was already a Premier League proven player. Then he's coming into an Everton squad. Now he's got a world-class manager under his side. He's playing amazing football. Same thing with Yerry Mina. He came from Barcelona, for God's sake. I mean, that's an amazing, amazing achievement for the Everton to get. Same with James Rodriguez. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's been firing. Richarlison, again, they could walk for 50 million. And that's the kind of place that Leicester could get to. But when you're buying in young players, I think this is like kind of a point we raised a lot. This is the kind of performance where you're going to see them struggle. And that's okay, because they will get better over time. And that's the whole point of Brendan Rodgers, because that is the next step up to get to this top tier, to literally where Everton will be. In my opinion, if they keep playing like this, they'll be title challengers.
Oh, easily. And I think a lot of people forget that, with a young club that we do have, I think patience is one of the things that we often forget. And for myself included, there's times that I'm like, oh, well, we easily could have won that game. But then I keep having to remind myself that our club and our squad is quite young. And the only way that they're going to improve is, experience. And the only way to gain experience is, being humbled from time to time, or, losing a game that you thought you would win, or, just game time in general. So I think moving forward, I think a lot of people, including myself, need to realize, this is a young team.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think one thing I actually noticed as well that I don't think a lot of people picked up on is that Maddison was on there for corners. Again, I think we'll touch on defending corners in a bit as well. But Under was actually on free kicks, which I thought was very interesting, because obviously Maddison's been struggling a little bit of recently. And the fact that Under's taking these free kicks is actually quite good for us as well. And it kind of pushes Maddison and goes, hang on, it's not always going to be your choice now. There is another guy in the position and can actually do a good job. So just want to get your thoughts on that.
No, I think that's good. I think it's healthy competition,
Yeah.
because I think that gives, Madison that realization that, he's not always going to get that opportunity. There's other people on the team that can, take over for that position, or, to have those chances. So I think it's just a healthy competition, to be brutally honest. It just keeps the squad, I think, more humble, so
Yeah.
that Madison doesn't come in being like, oh, well, this is my time to do it. Under could come in and be like, no, it's actually my time. So
Yeah.
I think it's a humbling experience, and that it's a humble and, healthy competition.
Yeah. And I think one of the players, again, we were just mentioning Under, I think you could see the talent. It's going to take a while for him just to come out. Again, we were just saying that it could take time for these players, but you could just see the little bits of magic, and you could see how, okay, there is that little bit of room to improve, because against Everton in a year's time, we could look a different side. But just them little tweaks he made, or a couple of balls round or through, you could say, okay, this guy's got it. And he wasn't there for this match, and that's okay. Same with Barnes. It was just that level, it is just at that level where they go, okay, I need another year's experience just to get up to that level, and we're really in for a shout with a great squad.
Yeah, and I think for myself included, this was this is Under's first Premier League start, so he's still getting used to, football and, in the Premier League. I think there's a lot of people that often forget that. So, it's going to take time for him to adjust. And I think he's still adjusting, but I think we're starting to see him, pick up, he's starting to realize what's going on and how to, play in this league. And I think, only time will tell. I think you're going to see an incredible winger in Under.
Yeah, and I think you're right totally. A lot of the play we played was to the back. Going forwards was pretty good, apart from just that final pass was there just into Vardy to knock it in the back of the net, or where it was. Again, I'm glad we at least put the ball in the back of the net from the offside position. I know it's not a lot, but the fact that we've got the goal, even if it's offside, is good, because I don't think we do it too often. But before we finish up, who do you think your man of the match was for today? Because I think there was a couple for me that really stood out. But yeah, who was your man of the match?
That one's tough. I really liked Ndidi.
Mm-hmm.
I think considering it was, he's playing in a different position than what he normally plays, and he's coming back from injury, and him being able to play the whole 90 minutes is remarkable. So for that, he's one of the people I would give it to. But I got to also say Perez, because he came on hungry, and I think that's what you need. He didn't get to start. I would say he deserved to start. But, he came on when he did, and, 120% just went off and just did his best.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's the two players I had down for, Ndidi and Perez. I think another shout is Fofana. I think he did cope well with for the lack of experience that he has and how well he pressed. James Justin, for me, if he could just get that final pass sorted, which he did against, I think Brighton played into his hands because they gave him too much room. But Ancelotti was clever to that, and he saw that coming, and then that's why he was getting Iwobi to double on Richarlison to double back on him, so there wasn't that run coming in. And if he could just put that ball in, I think he would have been man of the match for me. But I'd give it to Perez as well, because even though he was only on for a short amount of time, again, the impact he made and the way he just weaved past people that I thought he couldn't do, which was absolutely brilliant from what I've seen. Another player as well is actually Nacho, who has been at times a little bit underwhelming. Gets in people's way, and he, trust me, he did that as well today. Like Maddison and him, and they were both running in the same direction. Like, what are you doing? But again, he made some good runs into the box, even though we were 2-0 down. His head didn't drop. He's like, right, let me try and create some opportunities. And again, he was a little bit flat-footed at times, but I thought he played actually really, really well. Just coming back to the second goal, I think it was from a set piece again, and we have defended set pieces much better in this game. But that second save by Schmeichel was really something special.
Yeah, and I criticized Schmeichel on the first goal. You got to have that save. But this comes to show, he's there when you need him. Makes the first save, makes the second save. At that point, where's the defense? Defend. If you're not there, Schmeichel can only do so much. And, I think everyone's been saying it and they've been harping on, set pieces, especially corners. We cannot defend them if our lives depended on it. And, it showed again today, Schmeichel makes the save, he makes the second save, but we still can't manage to get it out. Mm-hmm. So I think that's more of a, you can't blame Schmeichel. It's more of okay, we need to really focus in on set pieces because something is not clicking, and it's clearly showing now, and it's been showing all year.
Yeah, but I agree that it's definitely been showing all year. However, I do think we're getting better at them. I don't know if it was Ndidi in the defense and he could actually get up a lot more higher and he can jump a lot higher than Evans can. I think that was very obvious in the game as well. But I think they've been shouted at because they have, I think in this game, even though there were 6 corners, I was as tense, but I wasn't as tense as I was against the Sheffield United game before. It's like, oh my God, even from the game against Brighton, they did have some tall players. We did cope with their set pieces quite well. And again, we did cope with, I know we let in a goal, but we are making improvements. And at the end of the day, with a young team, that's what we want to see.
No, I agree. I think they just got to keep working at it. You
Yeah.
know, that's the biggest thing. They just got to keep working on it, and eventually and hopefully they'll start to correct it much more than where they're at now.
Yeah, and that's just what it is with when you're going from a manager like Ancelotti to Brendan Rodgers, going from a team that is much more experienced and has played at the very high level for a very long time, where the likes of Justin, as much as we appreciate him, hasn't done as much. And just one thing about as you're talking about that, I remember that he came from League Two up to League One. He technically never even played in League One, so he came from the fourth division to the Premier League because he was in the team of the year for League Two coming up. He got Luton promoted. So
Yeah,
technically he came from the fourth division,
and
which is
never, yeah,
even more sublime.
yeah. And I think that just shows you that I think there's something special about him.
Yeah.
I think he hasn't even begun to tap what potential he has. I think give it a year or two. I firmly believe that. I think he's going to be one heck of a player.
Yeah. And it does make sure if the likes of Ricardo, as good as he is, was to move on to another team, um, James Justin is there and he will be able to step in, and I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, I think that's, have you got anything else? Because for me, that was pretty much it, because I know it was a loss and we've been quite positive, but I think it's easy to go, Leicester lost, everybody rip your curtains down and start stomping your feet. But I think we've got to be reasonable in this. And I think Everton were just a better team, and we did play quite decently. We were playing at 6 or 7, Everton were 8 or 9. And then you just got to take your hat off to that.
Yeah, and that's true. I think the only unfortunate thing is, this was the week where all the top teams lost points.
Yeah.
So we had the opportunity to take advantage, and we weren't able to. So that's frustrating. And if I look at things, that's one of the biggest things for me that I'll be like, we had that chance. This was our chance to get an extra few points off the top of the leaderboard.
And
We weren't successful.
And as it currently stands, as we're recording this, it might have changed by now. Spurs and Liverpool are 1-1. Oh, sorry, yeah, Liverpool, Tottenham are 1-1. So if they finish at the end of the table, it's only 2 more points to the top of the league. So we're actually still in a really good position. So fear not, Leicester fans. We're doing all right. We've got Prague in the next round. Hopefully, we've had some fans comment on our previous video that hopefully we'll get some Prague perspective, because I tried to do I did a live stream on Monday. YouTube went down at the Europa League draw. I can't stress how annoying that was. That I prepared the thumbnail, everything, and then I went to click go live with Doug, and nothing happened. And there's an error. I went, that could be 4 million things. My internet. Turns out YouTube was down. Anyway, so we'll get some Prague fans on again. If you read the comments on our previous videos, someone's saying they were in a group of death this season. They've beat Sevilla before, like we have, so they're a decent side. So if you're watching, Prague fans, hello, would love to have you on towards February time. But from me and Alex, thank you so much for joining us on Beyond the 90. Make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you all in the next video against Tottenham. So looking forward to that one. Goodbye.